Hey folks, back with ancient cosmology. So looking at the Göbekli Tepe Pillar 43. Wow, that's not great. This thing basically covers it up. Covers the beak. Let's see, open image in a new tab. That's good. I don't have enough tabs open yet. Need new tabs. So yeah, this just shows like the bird, the Göbekli bird, pillar 43 with his two eyes. It's two eyes, one of which is surrounded by water because it's this island basically, which is almost attached and is surrounded by water, and the other one is Lake Pontchartrain there, which is water, and its beak is like the Mississippi Delta there. Sometimes they call it a chicken's foot peninsula or something or bird's foot peninsula, but it also is shaped like a bird's beak. And then the bayous here, you can see well, they're mostly like to the west of there. So yeah, basically New Orleans is the head of this bird, the New Orleans area. This is a ancestral spirit or god or whatnot called Nanabozo. Not sure exactly the pronunciation, but Anishinaabe, or basically from the Great Lakes tradition. So I think this avatar of Nanabozo as a rabbit stealing fire by setting his own self on fire relates to this part of it's probably Canada, I guess. It's in, I don't know if it's Lake Huron or I forget which lake, but you know, the rabbit ears here, and then the fire kind of flames or smoke coming out from setting himself on fire. So, you know, I tweaked the color partly just to match this avatar, but I think that's probably what that is, but not certain necessarily. This is, let's see, like this face in the Venezuelan coast, I think may be related, basically maybe an earlier iteration of this headless guy in the Göbekli Pillar 43, because like a future iteration of this guy seems to be Baru Peninsula in Colombia, which is shaped like a headless guy. But this seems like a before picture because, you know, it seems like he's beheaded by this stinger of this scorpion. And so I think this one iteration of the stinger at least is Trinidad, which is shaped like a pointy kind of stingery thing and is connected to like is not far from the Leeward Islands that are like a tail going back to Puerto Rico, which seems to be the main body of the scorpion. So this is him right before his head is cut off, And maybe it just cut his hand off so far. So maybe like this island down here could be his hand that just got lopped off. And then it's about to cut his head off. So he's going to be like that. So, it's like the nose, the eye, the mouth, the chin or beard or whatnot. And there is a river going here, and then there's a river going from the nostril to there, and yeah. And then there's like rivers and valleys separating his body from the rest of South America. And then this is like his arm that's in, actually, this position of his arm matches this avatar better than Baru Peninsula does. So I think that this is kind of a mix of this part of Venezuela and Baru, Colombia. So yeah, it looks like he even might have teeth, and like he might even kind of be a skeletal figure with kind of a hollowed out eye, kind of like the Japanese Buddhist Oni or whatever they are, the I don't know, the demons of hell, whatever, demons of the underworld. Chikoku. So yeah, and the face actually also might relate to this face in another part of Pillar 43, because even though these animals in here also represent other land, like this represents Haiti and Inagua, this represents the southeast USA, this represents Cuba, this represents Juventude and Jamaica, this represents Miquelon Langlade, but at the same time they also form this face. And so the face is somewhat matches to this face in the Venezuelan coast. Here you can really see like the nostril river and the mouth river. But also even the beard seems to kind of match, like the shape where it's like goes like that. Seems to kind of match this where it starts here and then goes, kind of has this part where it goes up and then down, being like basically this part here of this river, possibly delineating the beard. And so it could be like if this is the mouth and it's kind of like the upper lip is predominant and the lower lip, maybe it has an overbite or something. That could be here. Like it could be that this kind of notch right here is the actual mouth. And so the upper lip is like kind of over the lower lip in some way, like is shown there. So yeah, I'm not 100% about this, but some parts of it do seem to match, especially that. And let's see. So yeah, this is like Puerto Rico, and then all the sea mounts around are like his its legs and pinchers and stuff like that. And then the whole, I think in this iteration, the whole Leeward Islands are his tail, and then his stinger being Trinidad. And then, whereas in another iteration, I think his tail is only the Virgin Islands there, which is somewhat more close to how it's depicted, like especially the tail, but I suspect that they're both iterations of the same, because that tends to be how these ancient, knowledge systems worked. You would find different shapes in the same areas, or try to find the same shape like repeated in an area, and then relate it to a story, have it be like panels of a comic book. So yeah, there's the headless person, there's this arm. I think this arm is called Parius, which was originally the name of North America. Like South America was called America and North America was called Parius. But maybe they found out that actually Parius is just the northern part of South America, like basically from here on up or something, that it was some native name. Just like America was probably a native name, probably nothing to do with Vespucci. So this is the Poverty Point World Heritage Site. So I think it's like at least 3,000 years old, something like that. It's maybe about 3,000 years old. And I think at that time it was the largest construction complex in North America. So this is a bayou Macon or Mason or something. It's in Louisiana, not too far from New Orleans, but a bit further up the river. And so, I think this probably comes out of the Mississippi or as a tributary or something. So, but anyway, my guess is the reason that they actually built this here is that this is probably a face of like an animal. And so they probably made a mythological character, they made a god out of this. And so, that became a very important part of the river because, like they say, wherever the spirits like touch down to the earth and are actually manifest in the shape of landmarks, that becomes the holiest site that only like the initiated can go to. So, and they also there's a chance they were doing certain things to protect the shape of the river, but it could more just be to chart the shape of it and and other points beyond. And so like this, that's where that site is, Poverty Point Mounds or whatever they call it. So I suspect that this is, the head of some sort of zoomorphic god. This is their body. Maybe this is their boob. This is their knees. Who knows? But I suspect that this here was probably seen as either another iteration of the same zoomorph or their child or some other character in the same story. So the story probably went from one side to the another, whichever. I'm guessing it probably went north to south down the river. So yeah, that would have been a very holy place. And, I think the same type of thing will be found with a lot of ancient sites, maybe pretty much all ancient sites, that they have to do with some sort of landmark or other cosmological thing. Let's see, this is just showing like the Egyptian Book of Two Ways map of Asia and the Lascaux map of the Southwest Pacific, like Australia, the Philippines. Most of these are flipped backwards. So, like, Australia is the only one shown the way it is, whereas the rest of these are all flipped backwards. Like, see, this one is actually pointing this way or pointing up, kind of, and its front legs are Sulawesi, its body is the Philippines, its head is Busuanga or Zamboanga Peninsula and Mindanao, and its back foot is Taiwan. So a couple parts are part of both maps, because Taiwan's also part of this map. So is the Lesser Sunda Islands that are the atlatl of the Lascaux birdman. They're also the tail of the Egyptian fox or some kind of animal down there, which is Java basically, but Lesser Sundas as the tail. And so yeah, the Papua birdman is also flipped backwards in this painting. So he's actually, this way. His head is here, his feet are here, and etc. And then here is Borneo, which I think is also retrograde. But yeah, down here in the Egyptian map, we have Kamchatka Peninsula, which is in the news because of the earthquakes and volcanoes and stuff. The U.S. HARP machine, probably. Then Japan down here, which is called the Perfect Spirit. And, basically Japan and Sakhalin as its back legs, which is part of Russia politically, but then Korea is these birds. Then shows these lake signs. That's for the Yellow Sea and stuff in here. And this little critter here is Taiwan and Penghu Archipelago. This gateway is China. This gateway is Indochina with the Malay Peninsula and like Phuket. Then here is the fox or something that is Java and the Lesser Sundas. There's a bird that is Sumatra. There's India with Sri Lanka and Mannar and Pamban, Ramasetu, Rams Bridge. Then this gate is Arabia. So yeah, I've probably already shown this, but just to show, with all the arrows and things, this shows like the whole section of the earth there. Let's see. This might be an ancient map. This is from Poverty Point, and this might be an ancient map of the bayou or of the Mississippi. It could even be this part of the bayou that goes by there. This is like shows the spherical earth in like a southwestern pueblo, probably a kiva, like kind of a church type of thing, a lodge.